At the end of the last video, I asked, is it possible to have competitive airsoft with an emphasis on sportsmanship, gentlemanliness, and fair play? And then I answered, yes, it's possible, but only when the players know and trust each other, and that they've learned that the core of competitive airsoft isn't the winning, it's the integrity of being honorable, regardless of the situation. And then I continued, you name me one competitive sport where that happens, and I'll ask you why that competitive sport has referees. Proper airsoft doesn't have arguments or questionable hits. It doesn't have referees. It just has trustworthy friends. In this original video last time, I identified those abominable moments that separated this gameplay from the very nature of airsoft. The very nature of airsoft being sportsmanship, gentlemanliness, and fair play, and those abominable moments being classified as blind firing, pre-firing, and unsportsmanlike play. After I finished this video, I thought to myself, am I being just a little bit too harsh on these players? Was this really a competition, or were these players just showing off for the views? So, I did a bit of a search, and I found another video of their gameplay. Let me show it to you now, and I'm going to ask you, do you notice the difference? For the most part, they're following the nature of airsoft. There was some pre-firing, yeah, which is bad. However, for the most part, they're following the nature of airsoft. And why? It's obvious. They're airsofting against players who aren't competing. They're airsofting against recreational players. And so everyone is playing within the nature of airsoft for the most part. The rules of sportsmanship, gentlemanliness, and fair play are being respected by everyone. And then, in this video, the one that I showed earlier, they're competing against another competitive team, and either they're throwing away the nature of airsoft to win intentionally, or that the team started to compete against each other within the nature of airsoft, and that because there was no one to tell them not to make mistakes, a referee or a judge or both, the mistakes spiraled out of control into blind firing, pre-firing, and unsportsmanlike play. Are they the only ones that do this during competitive play? To throw away the nature of airsoft just to win? No, they're not. And here are some examples. From these guys in particular, they're not evil. They just They're just doing what they're being taught to do. For the most part, there seems to be quite a bit of this, pre-firing, maybe premature firing, firing at absolutely nothing. This seems quite common because these aren't the only guys that are doing it. Everyone's firing at absolutely nothing. According to the nature of airsoft, this premature firing is unsportsmanlike play. And then another example of unsportsmanlike play is this shooting in the back at close range. Now you could be saying, oh, come on, Philip, don't be such a pussy about this. However, shooting someone in the back at very close range is unsportsmanlike play according to the nature of airsoft. This is not a pussy moment. This is about the rules of sportsmanship in airsoft. And finally, we've come to the pièce de résistance. The ultimate test of the nature of airsoft is a simultaneous hit, when both players at close range fire and hit each other simultaneously. I suspect that much more of this occurs out there. However, there isn't much video evidence of it, as no one wants to show and admit that during a tournament, they continued to play after they were hit, perhaps ultimately winning when they should have been counted out of the game. Now, according to the nature of airsoft, this is very easy to count these simultaneous hits. And maybe you're once again calling me a pussy for pointing this out. However, we're talking about a tournament. Perhaps there's even prize money and prestige on the line. I'm not saying someone intentionally missed their hit in order to win. However, what I am saying is that because we cannot rely on the nature of airsoft to referee or judge competitive speedsoft, as speedsoft and airsoft are not synonymous, you must find another set of rules that matches the nature of speedsoft gameplay, because the nature of airsoft doesn't cut it. As speedsoft and airsoft are not synonymous, we have to stop thinking that just because speedsoft is using airsoft guns, that speedsoft is airsoft. Airsoft isn't just the gun. It's the nature of airsoft that makes airsoft what it is. It's the sportsmanship, gentlemanliness, and fair play in conjunction with the airsoft gun that makes airsoft. To answer my initial question, was I being too harsh on these players in this original video last time? Yes, I was, because they weren't airsofting. They were holding airsoft guns, doing all kinds of shit that was against the nature of airsoft, simply because they weren't airsofting. Oopsie, that was my mistake. There's an expression we use in English, that you can't count apples as oranges. Therefore, speedsoft cannot be faulted for being bad airsoft. Then, what exactly does speedsoft resemble? Why, it resembles paintball. Speedsoft and paintball are synonymous, even though they use different guns. Looking at this video, it's very difficult to tell which is which. Where does speedsoft start and where does paintball end? They look synonymous. There's all kinds of shooting at absolutely nothing. There's shooting in the back. No one seems to care. This is definitely not the nature of airsoft. You can look at the guns and say, hey, that's a paintball gun. Hey, that's an airsoft gun. However, what if that paintball gun looked like an airsoft gun and that airsoft gun looked like a paintball gun? Could you even really notice what's going on between the two? Absolutely not. These two are identical. It's to speedsoft's advantage to come as close as possible to competitive paintball, simply because competitive paintball has solved many of the problems that competitive Speedsoft now faces. In competitive paintball, in comparison to competitive Speedsoft, and don't take this the wrong way, their balls are bigger and multicolored, allowing the player to feel the hits better and referees and judges to see the hits better. See the competition in the upper right? That's competitive paintball. And what do you see? Two referees getting down and dirty. They are seeing everything. What a filthy mess. Well done, well done. By having competitive Speedsoft emulate competitive paintball, competitive Speedsoft is no longer airsoft, meaning we no longer have to count apples as oranges as airsofters and whine and complain endlessly. The nature of airsoft is about sportsmanship, gentlemanliness, and fair play. And Speedsoft, without the nature of airsoft, is paintball. Therefore, competitive Speedsoft is not bad airsoft. Competitive Speedsoft is bad competitive paintball. If competitive Speedsoft wants to start getting the recognition it thinks it deserves, it better start cleaning up its act. It better start getting some referees and some very clear rules. And Speedsofters, if you're going to hang out with airsofters, you have to follow the nature of airsoft. Don't bring your Speedsoft, whatever rules you have, into someone else's house. That's not cool.